Welcome to The Explainer. Look, today we're bridging the gap between those dense, highly technical computer science theories and actual boots-on-the-ground business strategies. The promise for this explainer is actually really simple. We're going to cut right through the noise and confusion, pin down exactly what modern AI is right now, and give you the blueprint for, well, getting some monies with AI in 2026. So let's jump straight in.
Here's our roadmap for the explainer. First, the AI money machine. Then, we'll decode some of that intimidating AI jargon, look at processing real-world data, dive into generative AI and LLMs, build out some agentic workflows, and finally, we'll talk about actually monetizing your AI skills.
All right, let's get right into Section 1, the AI money machine.
Generating value in today's tech landscape, it's really not magic. At its core, artificial intelligence is just a field of computer science where we're training machines to do things that humans are usually naturally good at. Think recognizing visual patterns or understanding a piece of text. But the real gold rush happening right now, it's all about systematically taking raw data and transforming it into high-value, automated workflows. Because when you train a computer to take on the heavy lifting of a human workforce, you generate real, scalable income. That's where the money is.
But to actually pull that off, you've got to speak the language. So, Section 2, decoding the AI jargon.
Okay, so the very first term you absolutely need to know is statistical machine learning. Now, if you've ever dabbled in traditional software programming, you know the drill, right? You give a computer an input, you write out an explicit equation or logic, and it spits out an output. Well, machine learning completely flips that on its head. Instead, you feed the computer the inputs and the outputs you want, and the computer actually derives the logic itself. It pulls out those hidden patterns on its own, so when it encounters brand new data later, it can make accurate predictions without you having to sit there and write a million tedious if-then statements. It's a total game changer.
And honestly, this perfectly illustrates the massive leap we've taken recently. Just think about the stark difference between traditional AI and generative AI. Traditional AI, like these statistical machine learning we just talked about, it analyzes, predicts, and classifies. This is the stuff Zillow uses to guess house prices, or how Google filters your spam emails using structured features. But generative AI, that is a completely different beast. It's powered by deep neural networks, and its main goal is to create entirely new content from scratch. We're talking text, images, audio, stuff that has literally never existed before.
So, how exactly does AI digest the super complex world around us? Let's hit Section 3, processing real-world data.
Look, if you're serious about getting some monies with AI, you absolutely have to understand what your models eat. The kind of data you're working with completely dictates the tools you need to use. Broadly speaking, the entire digital world is split into structured and unstructured data, and knowing the difference between the two is step one to actually monetizing any of this.
Here is a picture-perfect example of structured data. We're looking at some real-world stats for a pro footballer named Jewel Tatia. He's an attacking midfielder in the German leagues. Now notice how incredibly neat this is. You've got perfectly defined rows and columns. Player name, age, position, and a peak market value of 25,000 euros. Traditional statistical regression models absolutely eat this stuff up. They love clean, tabular information like this. You could literally feed thousands of rows just like this into an algorithm like XGBoost, and it would become insanely accurate at predicting the market value of a brand new player.
Now contrast that nice, neat spreadsheet with this. This is unstructured data. What we have here is a pretty dense timeline of complex geopolitical events from South Sudan. It mentions figures like David Yao, who started an armed rebellion back in 2010, eventually signed a peace accord, and later became a state governor. We also see statements from General Stephen Bwai Ralnyang opposing the 2026 elections over some constitutional issues. Obviously, these are deeply nuanced, historically complex events. To a computer, there are no neat little rows or columns here. It is just a massive, messy wall of text. Your traditional algorithms are going to totally fail here. To actually analyze something like this, you have to bring in deep learning and advanced neural networks.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, generative AI and large language models, or LLMs. This is exactly how we tame that unstructured mess.
I love this analogy. Think of a large language model as a stochastic parrot. Now, stochastic is just a fancy word for a system driven by randomness or probability. If a parrot sits in your living room and listens to your conversations for 5 years, it's going to get really good at predicting the next word you're going to say, even if it has absolutely no idea what the words actually mean. Well, LLMs like GPT-4 or Claude, they work on that exact same principle, just scaled up to a mind-blowing degree. They use statistical probability, derived from trillions of parameters, and basically the entire internet's worth of training data to just mathematically predict the next set of words in a sentence. Let's actually look at how powerful this is in practice. Take this direct quote from General Ronyang about his opposition movement in South Sudan. It's a highly subjective, complex political statement pulled right from our unstructured data example earlier. Now, a human analyst might have to sit there for hours reading through stacks of similar press releases just to synthesize the political climate. But an LLM? It can process that unstructured text instantly, extract the core sentiment in a completely neutral way, and spit out a concise summary without taking any political sides whatsoever. This ability to instantly synthesize mountains of unstructured data, it saves countless hours. And in the business world, saving hours literally equals saving money. But listen, while summarizing text is incredibly cool, autonomy is where things completely take off. Let's move to Section 5, building agentic workflows, because this is where the real money is at. Up until now, we've mostly been talking about reactive systems, right? You ask a chatbot a question, it gives you an answer. An agentic AI system is fundamentally different. This is an advanced setup where the AI actually has autonomy, agency, and access to external tools. You are not holding its hand with step-by-step instructions. You just give it a goal. The agent then perceives its environment, does some complex, multi-step reasoning, and proactively takes actions on its own to achieve that goal.
Let's see how this translates into a real-world, high-value task. Imagine a company needs to onboard a new intern. Step 1. The AI agent uses RAG, that's Retrieval Augmented Generation, to securely read through the company's private internal HR PDFs so it understands the specific onboarding policies. Step 2. It connects to external APIs to check the calendars of the relevant managers. Step 3. It autonomously sends out the Outlook meeting invites and even opens an IT support ticket to order the kid a laptop. The AI planned and executed that entire process entirely on its own. This exact kind of multi-step automation is precisely what businesses are paying top dollar for right now.
And you know, this tech evolution directly mirrors commercial value. Notice how traditional AI sits over there with low autonomy. It's just predicting things based on set rules. Then you have generative AI, like your standard ChatGPT interface, sitting at medium autonomy. It makes great content, but it's just waiting around for your prompt. Agentic AI is all the way up there with high autonomy. And make no mistake about it, where you find the highest autonomy, you find the absolute highest commercial value today.
All right, welcome to Section 6, Monetizing Your AI Skills. Let's talk about turning all this awesome theory into actual cash.
Let's break down a very concrete 2026 monetization playbook. We're looking at the exact strategy used by tech creator Joel Talargi. First up, he builds a tech-focused brand on TikTok and YouTube, basically translating all this dense computer science into super accessible videos. Second, he offers resources like free AI notes to his audience, which cultivates this dedicated community where supporters can directly fund him through platforms like Buy Me a Coffee. But third, and honestly this is the most crucial part, he acts as a digital strategist consulting for large companies. He takes his knowledge of RAG and agentic workflows, analyzes a company's data needs, and literally builds the custom systems that help these traditional, old-school businesses finally go digital.
20. That is the number of enterprise projects Talargi has successfully completed using this exact model. Guys, companies are actively hunting for and hiring consultants right now, and they don't just want a code monkey, they want digital strategists. People who can synthesize cross-domain knowledge, take their messy, unstructured data, and build autonomous agents that save them massive amounts of money. That is exactly how you get paid in the modern tech ecosystem.
Which really leaves us with this final thought. As AI rapidly evolves from these simple text generators into fully autonomous agents that are generating real capital, you've got a huge choice to make. Are you going to position yourself as just another consumer of data, just endlessly scrolling and reading? Or are you going to step up and become a creator of value, someone who harnesses statistical machine learning, understands exactly how to feed structured and unstructured data, and actually builds the agentic workflows that the market is desperately demanding right now? The tools are all out there, and the blueprint for getting some monies with AI is crystal clear. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.